Hey guys, it's Mr. Nis, and this is your Chapter 6 Part 2 video notes over speed, speed time graphs, and velocity. Alright, so speed is defined as the distance an object can travel over a period of time. There are two different types of speed. There's instantaneous and average. Okay, and we're going to get into what those two are just now. So instantaneous speed is the speed at which an object is moving at any given instant in time. Okay, at any moment, if you were to take the speed of that object, then that speed would be its instantaneous speed. Okay, so an example of this is when you're driving in the car and you glance over at the speedometer and you see that it says that you're going at 55 miles per hour. That 55 miles per hour is your instantaneous speed at that one instant in time. Alright, so the other type of speed is average speed. So when you're traveling, you might not always be moving at the same constant speed. Okay, you might get stopped at a stoplight, or you might have to slow down because someone in front of you is going slower, that kind of thing. So you're not always going at the same speed. So the average speed involves the total distance traveled and the total amount of time that it takes. So to calculate speed, we divide the distance traveled and the amount of time that it takes to travel that distance. Alright, so it's distance divided by time. And remember, we always need to use Mr. Miller's rules and his steps when we do any math work in his class. So for our first example, what is the average speed of a car that traveled 100 miles in 2 hours? So first off, our first step, we're going to write out the equation for speed, which is distance divided by time. Next, we're going to list out the parts that we need and the information that we have. So our distance is equal to 100 miles. The time that it took was 2 hours. And then we plug both of those into our equation. So the speed is equal to 100 miles divided by 2 hours. And if we do that, we get the answer of the speed that the car was traveling. Its average speed was 50 miles per hour over the entire trip. So speed time graphs. Much like distance time graphs, speed time graphs can also be used to represent motion. Okay, it's very important that you do not confuse these two. Alright, distance time graphs and speed time graphs are two completely different things. On a speed time graph, time is graphed on the x-axis and speed is graphed on the y-axis. Okay, speed is on the y-axis now instead of distance. So we need to make sure that we're paying attention to that. Horizontal lines on a speed time graph indicate constant speed. Okay, when we think back to distance time graphs, horizontal flat lines meant no motion. On a speed time graph, there's definitely motion. Okay, we're just traveling at the same speed. We're not getting any faster or slower. Straight upwards lines indicate increasing speed, that it's constant, while straight downwards lines indicate decreasing speed, that it's constant. Alright, we're either getting faster or slower, depending on whether the line is pointing upwards or downwards. And if it's straight, then it's constant. Okay? Now, curving lines indicate increasing speed, that is non-constant. And downwards lines indicate decreasing speed, that is not constant. Okay? So if it's curving, it's not constant. If it's straight, then it is constant. At this part of your notes, there is a graph with the different parts labeled. Make sure you take a moment to look over this, analyze it, and make sure that you understand what the different parts look like. Okay, so the last part that we're going to talk about is velocity. Now, when describing motion with both speed and direction, the description is considered to be a velocity. Okay, different examples of these include if you say you're driving 55 miles per hour northeastern, then that's a velocity. If we just said 55 miles per hour, then that would just be a speed. wouldn't be a velocity. Other velocities include 10 meters per second south and 1,000 feet per second west. Okay? We'll get more into this in class. Remember, if you have any questions, you can always ask Mr. Miller or myself, and you can always refer back to your notes and this video. Thanks for watching.